When you have enough computers going on, it makes you feel like Ozymandias from Watchmen.
I know, exactly. Which is a good feeling. I like that feeling. I know some people might say that's kind of wrong, but how can it feel wrong when it feels so right?
So good. I forgot the lyrics of the song, but it's so good.
But no, you know what? You know what was actually really funny? Okay, this kind of like I thought this would be funny anyways. Right after I saw Fast and the Furious 8, on the way outside the theater, and this is like once again in like a small town sort of ish, Sonora. It was this weird thing, like, okay, there was this hobo guy came up to me, he's like, hey man, can you spare $1? I need to get something. It's like, oh, whatever. It's like in Sonora, it's like, whatever, go. Seems like a nice fella. But then all of a sudden, this other guy's like, yo! I mean, yo! And I was like, what the fuck is that sound? And there was this like guy who was definitely younger than me, probably like, I don't know, early 20s. And he's all like just shouting from, like way down the parking lot. And there's nobody fucking out there. It's nighttime, it's like probably 11 o'clock or something like that. And this guy's shouting like, hey, yo! And it's like, oh, okay. It's just like, keep walking. Let's just keep going. And then he's like, hey, how was that King Kong? I was like, oh, well, yeah, King Kong was pretty cool. He's like, King Kong really cool? He's like, yeah, it was pretty cool. He's like, man, I really want to see that King Kong. I'm like, well, then you should go see it. He's like, yeah, I think I got to. What would you rate it? Well, I'd say it's like a 9 out of 10. It's that fucking good. He's like, 9 out of 10? That good? Yeah, that good. Oh, man, you got a cigarette on you? No, I don't. And like, I'm constantly walking, and this guy's like lumbering up towards us. He's like keeps coming at us, which relatively seems scary, but like it's like that kind of point where, okay, as long as you just keep a friendly attitude with these kind of people, you're totally fine. But it could all turn dark in like a matter of whatever the wrong word you said.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, you don't want to just immediately jump the gun, like, got nothing by, just walk past them, nor do you want to just be like, fuck off, otherwise it that could lead to like, oh, you're better than me, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Or you might not want to say, yeah, King Kong fucking sucks. King Kong fucking sucks? King Kong doesn't fucking suck. My dad was King Kong. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and, you got to be careful with your words when you're at these points. But at the same time, I feel like if I have any good talent, it might be to deal with crazy people. Because somehow, some way, I'm able to, like, sort of ease my way out of it. Sometimes I get stuck in conversation, limbo. But other than that,
possibly
but he keeps going on.
Negotiator.
Yeah, exactly. He keeps going on and keep walking down the way. And then, he gets to the point where he starts repeating himself. Like, so, how was that King Kong? I was like, oh, yeah, the King Kong was really good. You know what I mean? Like, what would you rate it? 9 out of 10. Oh, man, I got to see that King Kong. And it kept going. And then finally getting close to the car. He's all,
you like 10-second Dave from, he's like 10-second Dave from like 51st Dates.
Yeah, probably. And he's all like, you want to smoke a bowl? It's like, no, man, we're good. Okay, brother, take care. And then he like walks off. And as I said, it was like probably like a 22-year-old guy, had a ball cap on, probably just like did a thing of meth. You never know.
Well, it's that same thing. If you keep on talking, that's the very thing that got you onto a date with a gay guy without you realizing it.
Exactly. So, like what I've learned in life is, though one of my few talents is talking, it's also the same thing that's got me into places that probably you don't need to be, or like where you just get like people's life stories. Like I could go into like an FYE, and then all of a sudden, I got a guy coming up to me telling me his life story. I remember this guy. He was like, "Who's the
First off, we should probably get like our do the intro real quick. Just get this out of the way.
Oh yeah. Hello, welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast, the show where we talk about talking to other people. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan, and today we have a special guest.
And I'm Marley Silverbrand.
Oh, we got dude. It seems like Marley always comes whenever there's a Fast and the Furious. It's like a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to be here.
It's fate of the Furious, Spencer.
So it's fate why he's here. It's fate why Marley's
here. The series is Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, but it's about family and fate because Charlize Theron is on a computer and not in a car for some reason.
No, that's not family. It's family.
Yeah.
It's always family.
But yeah. FYE, you learn in people's life stories.
Yeah, who was that guy? Okay, who's the quarterback for Kaepernick?
Yeah.
It was like, there was a guy who's like, yeah, man, I went to school, played football with him in like Manteco or Merced or wherever the fuck that was that they were at. It was one of those M1s in the valley. And it's just like to the point where it's like, this guy talked to me for like a half an hour. I mean, all I was doing is in the browsing fucking FYE for like a movie or something. I wasn't even looking for a movie. It was just that thing like, hey, there's an FYE. Let's go take a look.
How'd that even happen? Were you just like, oh, look, a football movie? Like, oh, dude, I used to play football?
No, that came like probably 15 minutes into the conversation. Like at first he just started talking, and I don't even know how it got to it, but there's just something that happens. That's why I'm always afraid to be sort of left alone with people, because I don't know what it is. They like will come up to me like I'm some kind of mysterious prophet. It's probably like maybe the look of Jesus that maybe like lures them in. I don't know.
Well, my thing is like
You kind of have that Jesus look a little bit.
take away the glasses. I mean, the God of Sun would not need glasses. The Son of God, God of Sun.
You never know that FYE light.
My coffee hasn't kicked in.
You never know that FYE light just might be beaming in at the right angle, and they just look up and be like, "Oh my God!"
Like then also
he is risen.
I remember there was a long time ago we were at Dunigan's place, The Rock, and there was some random guy. Like Dunigan's like, "Oh, I got to go inside. Oh, I'll wait outside for you." Worst idea. Should have just went inside with Ryan. And I remember this guy just started talking to me, telling me his life story. And it's just like, it's not that they're like, bad people or anything, but it's just like,
you just don't give a shit. You don't,
Yeah, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't need to know this.
I don't even remember this.
It was a long time ago. It must have been like
high school,
late 2000s.
Okay. I don't even remember this. No, but
you were inside.
I was inside. Yeah. This seems like something would have got passed on to me right here. But I walked, or maybe I walked in at the very tail end, and be like, "Oh, gotta go see you. Bye."
Yeah, well, that's probably what it was. Like, "Hey, you ready to go?" "Yeah, I'm ready to go."
Well, there's that one.
Get that fucking car. Get in the car.
I remember there's that time we went to Steve's place and there's a Giants game on, and Steve's place is a bar, folks, and this total redneck bar. We talked about this one time on the show years back. I think it was years back, like first couple within the hundreds. Anyway, first 100 or so.
Episode 2,
something like that. But there is like
episode 2. Episode 2 was the shortest episode of like 22 minutes.
Suicide Squad, the new 52. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, I read the book and it was fun. I like this part, I like that part. That's the show. Bye. Sound like a Justin Roiland skit.
Voice is cracking. It's like, oh.
That's
the microphone's scary.
If you listen to the earlier episodes, it does sound kind of like, "Oh, this is Old Man Always podcast." So it really did. I don't know about Spencer. I know I sound like Morty at the beginning of the show.
Like, I don't want to get bullied.
Yeah. Oh, I sure hope this podcast picks up. It'll be fine. Anyway, no. So what ends up happening is there's a Giants game on. And if you listen to the show enough, Spencer and I don't care about the sports so much. Marley here does. But we were there with Cisco. We were watching a Giants game, and at some point, like, this crazy, creepy old lady just starts talking to us. And just, like, she's in her fucking 80s. She's talking about, like, back in the day, we used to just ride our horses over here, and all you'd have to do is sometimes get so fucking pissed drunk, you just flap your belly on top of the horse, ride the horse sideways, it would take you right home. And it would be...
And she had, like, a fucking cowboy hat on, and she had the whole Western look going, like she was almost like a woman out of time.
Yeah, like almost like a DeLorean dropped her off. And there's a part, at one point... I said like a part because it's playing out like in a movie in my head, but because I was like, "Is this really fucking happening?" At some point, she's all talking about like some road, and then she's all like, out of nowhere, starts breaking out in song. "When I say go this down, don't run in." She starts clapping her hands like out of nowhere, and this guy next to her, like this guy looks like fresh out of Dynasty, pulls out a fucking harmonica. I was like he's jamming along. Like, what the fuck? You gotta go.
Well, this lady, like in conversation, I learned she was like an expert banjo player, and that's why she had on her right hand all her fingernails long. Things I didn't ever want to know, but I know.
She was like, I believe she could rock that banjo. Being that old, she has to be good at something. No, she had like a bunch of the fucking Freddy Krueger hands. Just
Yeah, literally. I kid you not. I was just like, she didn't want to buy a pick. She was gonna create one out of her own body.
That or like Lady Deathstrike out of X-Men 2. So
Yeah. Exactly, and I remember that lady talked to me for like ever, and it was like it's like that point where you're almost like cornered like a timid animal, and you're like, you really need somebody to come by and fucking save you.
Well, I remember because what happened there was because like it was the two of us, and then like Cisco or Wes called me over to go play pool. Like, "Oh, okay, guys, my turn."
Got my way out.
And then I look over. I just look over to like Cisco, and I look over to you, and you're kind of looking at us in the corner of your eye, just like, "Help me." And Cisco's like, "He's dead to us."
Yeah, like, it was like, "I'm already sitting down. I'm not leaving the game." I was trapped.
And then the commercial break came on. That's when Cisco's like, "Okay, I'll go get him now." I was like, "I'm not going back. I'm like some guy like, I'm not going back to Nam, man. I'm not going back in."
I remember it scared me like a handful of weeks later. I went to Live Oak Music, and that lady was there. But good thing she didn't remember me because she probably got so hammered and got on her horse it took her home.
She's like sniffs the air like, I smell familiar.
Yeah, starts tapping her nails on the thing like, what do I smell that I remember?
She doesn't have the best eyesight, so she's almost using like echo vision. This ching ching.
She's like, I need a banjo to think. She just like reaches over without looking, grabs a banjo and pulls it on in, and then starts.
She's playing. She's getting closer, looking around.
She could like hear almost like the tones bouncing off the walls and the objects in the store to like detect where she needs to go.
Dun 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 dun.
But yeah, that's always something that I don't know what it is. It's like I told you this story. I don't even know if it was on the podcast, but it was like a handful of months ago or so. I was at the movie theater once again, and there was this like old security guard guy. Did we talk about this on the podcast? We just talked about this.
I don't know if we talked on the podcast. The punk rocker guy. I mean, maybe we did.
Yeah, and it was just
this like, dude. I used to talk to this dude hella when I used to work at the movie theater, like in Sonora.
Yeah, it's like that guy. Like I remember all of a sudden he looked at a shirt I had. I think I had a Real Big Fish shirt on, and he was like, "Oh my God, that reminded me of an old punk album." And he just started singing, and he just looks like the most happiest, friendliest old man. Like punk rocker does not cross your mind. None of this stuff does. But then he keeps going on. He's like talking to me forever. He's like, "Oh man," he's like, back in the day I used to be in L.A. and everything like that. And I would go to like the Runaways concerts like before the band was even known. He's like, "You saw the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know the party where the cops come? I was there." And he's going on like this whole time. And he's all like, "I was so fucking pissed. We had to pay $2 to get into that concert. All the rest of them were $1." He's like, "I fucking hate the LAPD. Fucking cops." And it's like this guy's got a badge on him and everything like that, which just seems kind of ironic. I mean,
well, he's a security guard. We all know that security guards are like
he's just jealous.
On the totem pole.
He's jealous. He's not a cop.
Still, okay, even if he's a security guard, I feel like he's still in the same block category. You know what I mean? Like
he became the thing he hated.
Yeah, realistically, it sounds like that. And then
sounds
I remember
like a story of Darth Vader here.
There was like another concert he was at. He's like, "Oh man, we were at this concert, and we had to pay like $3 to get in. It was fucking bullshit. Let me tell you that. It was this big backyard." I was like, "Well, who the fuck's playing here?" And somebody is like, "Oh, it's just these kids named Van Halen." Like, who the fuck's this Van Halen? Who they think they're super fucking special? He's like, and then I saw David Lee Roth up on stage. And I was like, yeah, well, fuck this guy. So I got some firecrackers. I just started launching them at his head.
I just like the idea of this guy just like I couldn't pay $3 to get in, so I trade him for a pipe bomb.
Yeah, just like, well, it's just this guy's like rebel rouser guy, but he looks like the most friendliest old guy. Like if you would have saw this guy, you'd be like, oh man, that must be the nicest guy ever. He probably plays Santa at Christmas. You know what I mean? He's this guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a total nice guy. I'm not saying he's not nice, but it just sounds like he's just pissed off old man. He starts going, and then this is the weird part too. Okay, very punk rocker, all this stuff like this. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, you know who I fucking hate is Jerry Brown. He's fucking ruining California. Fucking goddamn liberals. That's like, God, I'm so confused.
Well, I feel like it's one of those things, like, I honestly, like, Iggy Pop is one of my favorite musicians of all time, but I don't feel like I really fully understand punk rock mentality, because it almost seems like it's so sporadic, shifting back and forth. Like, what's more punk? To be total anti-establishment, or to 360 back around and like, Republicans, ironically? I don't really know what it is. I mean, I think that last one less so. I think it's more of just kind of like, I mean, Frank Miller was very leftist and like, well, I don't know. The thing is, Frank Miller was so right-wing when he was doing Dark Knight Returns. He even fucking hated, like, fucking Reagan wasn't right enough for him. You know what I mean? He fucking hated Reagan. He fucking hated liberals. I think punk rockers, they're kind of like that. They just hate everything,
I think so. You know what I mean? But maybe he's like in the Johnny Ramone style, because that's always like the weirdest thing too. It's like Johnny Ramone's like, fucking, I'm hardcore Republican, fucking liberals. It's like, yeah, but you're in the Ramones, It's like, yeah, well, I've just put up with this shit to get paid.
I got a feeling. I don't know much about Johnny Ramone, but every single time, like, there's like a movie based on a true story, and he pops in for a second, or there's an interview with someone interacting with Johnny Ramone, he seems like such a bitch Maybe he was like a rock and roll icon, but like Anthony Kiedis's book Scar Tissue says, "You guys pissed me off when you ran across the stage naked at our show. That's not fucking cool." And like one of the other Ramones brothers, like, I thought it was cool. And then, like,
Yeah.
and then like there's one time I was watching, I don't remember, it was like some VH1 thing. Somebody was all talking, like, who was in the band, was just like, "Hey Johnny, man, how you doing?" He was like the new guy. He's just like, "Why don't you shut the fuck up and just play the bass?" Just like, I was almost in tears that day. It was like my second day in this band. It was just like, God, what the fuck is this guy's problem? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, you just think if you're in punk rock, it's like, how'd you become like such a bitter old like Republican guy? He's like those kind of guys, probably gets a large pizza and goes hide and watches like the Republican National Convention by himself.
Watches C-SPAN.
Even like CBGBs, like they didn't like portray the Ramones that well in the, well, not well, I mean, they didn't portray them favorably in the movie. Like, oh my God, they're rock and roll geniuses, but they don't really portray him as like, let's get a beer with that guy, you know?
Yeah, they're like, I'll listen to their music, but I don't know, that Johnny Ramone guy, he just gets all threatening and then starts putting out his right-wing agendas.
Well, whenever I see anything, it's not even the fact that he's right-wing. Whenever I see anything on him, he always just seems like so fucking angry and so bitter about everything. I don't know. But like you hear something like Ski Bop, you know?
Well, so bitter for a guy who's in a very like fun band, let alone probably like almost like one of the top 3 punk bands of all time. It just seems so weird to be such a bitter person to be that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? If you were one of those punk bands it's like nobody really remembers, then yeah, maybe I could see being kind of bitter. But like to be in like one of those ones where it's like, dude, everybody knows.
Like
people don't even
like the remaining members of like Dead Boys or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or like that original Tom Morello band that like who knows what the hell happened to
Lock
the other
Up?
guys that were. Yeah, Lock Up, that one. Like maybe those guys went on to other things, but I have no idea. But let's just say if that was the only thing they were, it's like, yeah, we had Tom Morello, and then he left for Rage.
Imagine how much it must suck being, I mean, I don't think he's going to hear this, but imagine how much it must suck being Jack Sherman of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, yeah, that poor bastard. That not only, like, did you get kind of kicked by band, but you were just made fun of, like, the entire way.
Well, it's like one of those things, because, like, the other guy, I don't remember the first drummer, he left because Hillel died, and he's like, "Oh, man, I'm sorry, guys, I don't care about the fame. My best friend died. I can't do this no more." And they're just like, "Fuck Jack Sherman. Just get rid of him. I don't give a shit. Fuck him. Yeah, we got Hillel back. Yeah."
Yeah, fuck that guy and his, like, easy grease or whatever. Remember he had like that easy rub. I remember like, Anthony Kiedis just had this, not chapter, but like a paragraph. He's like, fucking that easy stuff, put on his guitar every single fucking time, just pissed us off. And it's funny because like, whenever I see a guitar player put that stuff on, I just laugh because that's all I think of. It's just Anthony Kiedis just getting so pissy about somebody putting easy slide on their guitar.
He just hears a close up of like someone peeling back a can open, and just like his eyes widen. He like turns around, just.
Oh, God, that book's so good. I kind of look at that book every once in a while on my shelf. I'm like, man, I should read that again. There's so much good stuff in there.
I gotta reread it. It's been so long. I don't even remember most of it. I just remember I was on drugs. I was off drugs. I was off drugs. I was on drugs. I jumped off a pool.
Yeah, I crashed a motorcycle. Broke my hand. They need to give me more drugs.
I'm sorry. This got very much like, what books have we been reading lately? Marley, how are you doing?
I'm good.
That's all you got? I spiked you the ball!
But how about that Fast and the Furious movie, Spencer?
Oh, dude, it was just as good as always. It's like one of the ones, like, those movies just don't let you down. They always are there just to please you. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are kind of like, it doesn't have Paul Walker, so, you know, it's not real. It's like, they shouldn't be doing this. And it's kind of like, at the end of the day, you're like, you do know that this is what makes Universal their money.
Yeah, right.
Like, at the end of the day, they're
nothing.
not going to stop something. It's almost like if they stop, someone's like, they should stop making Batman movies after Heath Ledger died. It's like, well, they're not going to do that. I mean, like, now Paul Walker's a bigger, like,
well, Universal still has
Minions.
I don't know anybody that was, I mean, I know people were sad when Paul Walker died. That's for sure. I don't know anybody, though, that was just like, if Paul Walker's not in it, I'm not fucking seeing it. Everyone seemed to want Vin Diesel.
I offended a girl that said, like, when I said that, Paul Walker isn't really that big in the Fast and Furious franchise. And she was like, did you really say that? And she, like, cried. And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't think anyone cared about Paul Walker that much.
No, he's
really, I like Paul Walker a lot, but
I seen him in some movies he did a good job in. He's not a bad he wasn't a bad actor. I never thought he was the selling point. Like he was a major character. He seemed kind of like
he's for the white people.
Yeah,
he's the gateway character for us.
Well, the thing is, it seemed like he almost kind of had like two for this one. It's going to sound kind of racist for a second. Yeah, two flagship white people for this one.
Kurt Russell
and then Charlize Theron, and then you're like, we're getting some lineage white dude. No, I'm going to say we got lineage. We got Scott Eastwood. He should be the next big deal. But it was just like, hey, you're a fucking bitch in this movie. And I'm like, well, my dad won't give a shit. You're not your fucking dad. You're gonna get slammed against the wall because you're not fucking your dad.
Dude, did you listen to Scott Eastwood on Joe Rogan?
I listened to the first 10 minutes. I liked what I've heard of it.
Dude, it's like, after that, like, I already like Scott Eastwood a lot. I want him to be in more things. But when you hear him in that podcast, you're like, dude, Scott Eastwood is literally the best celebrity child I have ever seen. Or heard, I guess. Because it's like, dude, he was like such a grounded person. And I think it's due to Clint Eastwood. See, this is how amazing Clint Eastwood is. Not only is Clint Eastwood just the most amazing actor of all time, he's also apparently the most amazing father.
It's like not only am I the best killer of all time, most of the world's best dad.
Because it's like Scott Eastwood's just
Go
like...
bail some hay, son.
You know, because you look at like most people's like kids. Like I was like, I'll use this as for example. You look at like Hulk Hogan's children. Fucking horrible looking kids, you know what I mean? They just seem like just dastardly. And then you're like, Scott Eastwood's like, dude, this guy's grounded. He's like, yeah, my dad didn't give me any fucking like shots into any movies or anything like that. I was never just put in a movie. I had to work my way up. He's like, I fucking worked at bartending. I did park cars. I did all kinds of extra jobs in my early days of acting. It's like almost like Clint Eastwood wasn't like, well, here you go. Here's $1 million. Go figure it out, kid. It's like, no, it's almost like, no. You get out there on the street, you do it the way that I did it.
That's good to know that he did that. I liked what I've heard of him in the first 10 minutes. It was him and like one other guy, a guy he had on the show before. But that right there, I'm like, he seems like a pretty cool guy. So that when I saw his name in the opening titles, it's like, oh, cool. But I just saw he's playing like you listen here, guys. You're gonna do what I say.
I hope they kill him off in the next one, just because I didn't like his character at all.
What? I still liked him a lot in the movie. I mean, like, he was supposed to be there to kind of like, pretty much to like poke the black character at the end of the day. That's like what it was like. It was like Roman was the guy, like they put like them together, like that's who they're gonna feud. You know, Jason Statham and The Rock are gonna feud. Well, Roman needs somebody to feud with, so let's put a real white guy in there to poke him.
Yeah.
How long before they just start kind of spinning these off and just doing kind of like, well, you know what? We're gonna take a chance here. We're gonna do like here's one where fucking Roman's own movie, or Roman and Scott Eastwood on a road trip together, you know?
I would so see that. The Fast and the Furious, when they're on a road trip, it's just those two characters stuck together.
I mean, essentially, it's at the end of the day, what that is essentially, it's something, it doesn't, Hollywood never gets tired of it. It's like, it's a white guy and a black guy. What's going to happen?
I mean, it's all it is. When you really break it down, but still. Or it's technically Fast and the Furious 2. Too Fast, Too Furious, because that's what that one is. It's Paul Walker and Roman out there fucking on the road trip, going from LA to Miami.
That's the one I never saw. I've seen every other.
Really?
I never seen number.
You should still see that one.
Pretty good.
Okay.
It is. It's one of those ones. It's probably got the most amount of car scenes. Well, then maybe Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift probably has the most, but it's got like a lot of car stuff in that one.
Here's me being brutally honest about Fast and the Furious. I like them. I like these movies. But it's kind of like I saw Fast and Furious 1 when I was like in middle school. So that's like kind of like a movie I grew up on sort of. I never saw 2 because 2 was one of those ones where like, well, Vin Diesel's not in it, so I don't care, you know. And then like, which that wouldn't stop me now, but when you're a kid, you know. And then the third one, it was just seems like, all right, now they're just doing weird spin-off things. And the third one was all right. You showed me that one. That one was all right. It didn't blow me away, but I thought it was, you know.
Tokyo Drift actually has a weird story to it because it was so close to not even getting a theatrical release. It almost got
straight to DVD.
Straight to DVD.
It kind of feels sort of like
because it had too many Asian people in it.
But yeah,
they're like, this could be hard to sell to mom and pop in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's one of those things. It feels kind of like we're running out of shit to do. Like that was probably like. That was surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be, because you look at that, it has nobody from it except Vin Diesel at the very end. And then like, oh, okay. And then the fourth one, that's the one where it kind of brought me back. In all honesty, I've only seen the other ones, like, I've seen the first one a bunch. Every other one, I've seen, like, once or twice, but I still remember them fairly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember the main concept of each one, not maybe, like, every little detail of what chase was where and all that, but I remember the main concepts of each one.
The third one is when it really starts getting good, because that's when, like, when they lost, like, all these characters, that's when they had the time to cast new people and create new characters, and then that turned it into, like, stop being about racing, start going into, like, these guys are like cops. Then it turned into, like, oh yeah, they're international terrorists. So
well, they kind of progressed. It started off being like, okay, it's
literally Point Break.
We steal DVD players.
Well, it's like car chase movies with, like, cop stuff going on.
Yeah.
Then it kind of slides into, okay, it's a heist series, and then it slides into, we're fucking G.I. Joe.
Just real life anime. That's basically what it is. Especially the seventh one.
Oh, even Goku would be like, that's unrealistic.
But that's the thing. That's what I like about them, is because Fast and the Furious, to me, what they play off of is they're like almost like the '80s action movies, but of nowadays.
Yeah,
like, that's what they've kind of become. And I know that, like, the only slight complaint I've always said to some of, like, the newer ones is they kind of lost almost like the vehicle touch, you know what I mean? Like the days of just having all these, like, souped up cars and all, like, the, like, ins and outs of everything. You know, it kind of went away for a while, which I will say in this number 8, I like how the movie starts off with a really sweet race scene where Vin Diesel literally takes, like, this old 50s beat up Plymouth or whatever and fucking, like, tears off all the metal on it and starts, like, souping it up with, like, just, like, you know, ghetto parts and everything like that. I'm like, that's cool. More of that, because that's kind of like Fast and the Furious right there.
Coca-Cola saves the day, technically.
That was kind of like...
Coca-Cola technically saves the day.
Yeah, with, like, the top
tab was holding on to the hose.
That was kind of like that. I really like that scene because it's kind of like a throwback for, like, the people that watched, like, grew up watching, like, the first and second one, and they keep coming to these movies like, oh, I want to see more racing.
Well,
when they basically just turned into, like, Ocean's 11 and, like, a Marvel movie, because no matter what people say, I think they really, like, the Fast and the Furious, like, franchise pretty much has, like, their own cinematic universe, which, like, these characters are, like, kind of like, if they wanted to, they could spin them off, and I would go see.
Exactly, they're legendary enough that, like, you'd be like, oh yeah, you want to spin this thing out. Like, in a sense, if you did, like, the Kurt Russell's character, like his, like, whole division, you'd be like, I'd fucking see that.
They were talking about doing a movie about The Rock, just his character and his team. They were talking about that in the past. Who knows if they'll still do it? Because now he seems like an indefinite part of the team. Before, it was just like, I'm the bad guy. Oh no, I'm not a bad guy. I'm just I'm just kind of a frenemy. And then they come in the aspect. Now he's literally a member of their team now.
Which, speaking of being a member of the team, Spencer, did you have a problem with Jason Statham at the end of the movie just saying, like, oh yeah, I guess I'm part of the family now, even though I killed fucking Han?
That thing right there, that whole bit, that didn't bother me because I know the movie's already. I'm not saying this to be an asshole. These movies are fucking ridiculous, but the movies are aware of it and the action's good. So it's like,
yeah,
you expect it, you forgive it for that. That whole bit, it didn't bother me, but it stood out. It was like
I understand.
It was just Cypher... like, I know that I just killed the whole fucking hospital filled with people, and I know I killed your best friend and a couple other people, but you know what? I want to have hot dogs with you and save your boy. Like, that flipped so fucking quickly.
Like, I understand, like, he hates Cypher as much as they do, but it's like...
Cypher didn't make him kill... He didn't make him kill a hospital full of people, and didn't make him, like, kill Han.
But she killed his brother, supposedly, because she was all surprised when they were both back.
Whatever.
See, and that doesn't really bother me, because, technically that's been in there since the very first Fast and the Furious of, like, you're a bad guy, now we're friends.
But that's a flip. That's a flip. Remember what happens in, like, the very first one, where it's just, like, their friend who's, like, their white friend who is trying to be, like, he was, like, the kid of the group. Like, hey, gee golly, guys, with, like, a shirt 3 times too big, sideways hat. He gets shot by the Korean guy after leaving him, and they track down the Korean guy, like, that motherfucker's gonna pay! And then it's just, like... Oh, well, by this point, it just seems kind of like, oh, we've been through this before. We don't care. Come on in.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of like game do. It's like, to me, it makes kind of sense. It's like, I'll say this, though story-wise, yeah, okay, his actions still seem kind of weird that they're friends, but whatever. I think movie-wise, like, making Jason Statham part of the team, fuck it. We're not really getting Expendables movies. This is where he belongs then.
Well, part of the team, I get it. It's one of those things where it's like, I kind of get it if he's just like, thanks for saving my kid. Like, yeah, hopefully we don't bump into each other again. And just kind of like a stern nod, maybe a handshake. Like, I'm not your friend, but goddamn it, I respect you. Some bullshit like that. And they just go their own ways. Sitting down at the dinner table with him after the last movie, he tried to fucking kill him, killed Han. And once again, I'm not going to, like, a hospital filled with people. That's one of those things where it's just kind of like, it seems like a stretch. It's not going to stop me from seeing the movie, though, because I kind of I was expecting it, but I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility for these things, just because it's already just so ridiculous as is, you know? So
how about that hard-boiled scene, though? The reference to hard-boiled.
Oh, with the kid?
That was cool.
That was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, that was a badass scene, too. The only thing that's kind of weird is, like, I mean, I know I can kind of see what they're doing, but it was kind of weird that, like, okay, he goes through this, Jason Statham's in this plane. He's battling all his way to get to Charlize Theron, who's the main bad guy of the movie. And right when they get to the point where it's like, oh, sweet, they're going to have this fucking badass, like, kung fu battle, and she's like, fuck it, jumps out of the airplane. It's like, oh, that's it? Like, nope, not even, like, one or two punches thrown. It was just like, she's gone. It's just, I mean, I know that it's coming up because they want to make 3 of them. So, or 3 more to 10.
Part of me really wanted, like, I understood why Charlize Theron did that, because it's like she sees, like, what's coming, because it's obviously, like, she knows where she's gonna die. She's like, I'm out. But part of me wanted Jason Statham to grab the baby and just jump out of the plane and just go after her. And uses the baby as like
he puts a little parachute on the baby.
I was thinking, like, he's just like,
where does he find a baby parachute? I don't know, but
I was actually honestly expecting, and don't tell me that this is too far, because this seems like something the movie would do. I was honestly expecting him to like grab the kid. Looks like we're going for a ride. Jumps out the fucking airplane and then follows her down, grabs her parachute. They have a struggle in midair.
Yeah, like Point Break style. Like, she doesn't even need a parachute. He's just gonna take her.
He's gonna take her.
And the little cradle thing that the baby was in, that's like its parachute. Is the baby is like slowly like floating down to the surface. Yeah.
Well, realistically, he could have just been like just gave Luke Evans his the kid, and then jumped out after her, grabbed the Magnum just like Point Break, and started fucking coming down. But I just thought that was kind of weird. It's just like, it built up all the way to this, and then she just like jumps out and leaves, and it's just like, oh, okay, I guess we'll find out in number 9.
Yeah, I mean,
she's obviously gonna come back, which if she does come back, I hope that they give her more to do besides just sitting in a room barking orders to like the nerds.
She had to have the easiest like shooting schedules. Like, okay, I get 1 day in Havana. Rest of it, like, okay, I walk into the sound stage where we shoot up a couple of computers. Rest of that, I'm in my office. Fuck you. Why don't
not even computers, because most of those computers are probably green screen.
Yeah, she's like, Charlene's good at Charlene. She's good at acting. She don't like walking though, so it's got to be these 3 rooms right here within walking distance of each other.
Well, the weirdest thing, too, is there was a trailer that came up before the movie where she was in it, and it was, like, the most, like, action-packed one where she's, like, you know, throwing punches, shooting people, jumping over stuff, jumping out windows, all this stuff like this. Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but it's coming out, like, in 2 months or something like that. It looked fucking badass.
Is it Atomic
Blonde? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it had, because it also had fucking Charles Xavier in it, too.
The person that directed the first John Wick.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
So you know it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, but I remember like that trailer, I was like, oh, that's fucking badass. And then it's like, oh, and then she's not really throwing any punches or anything in this.
How do they not put her in a car, especially after Mad Max? Like, I'm surprised they even, like, when you have Charlize Theron in a Fast and the Furious movie, I'm surprised they didn't call it Fate of the Furiosa.
Well, see, it's like, then that's kind of why, like, it makes sense why she's in there. Because you notice if everybody they mostly always grab generally is kind of from some type of car movie. It's like, you get Jason Statham, you got the transport. It's like, see, that makes sense. You get her, she's from Mad Max. But it is just kind of that thing sometimes, too, at the end of the day. It's like, sometimes it's like, you know, maybe just a little bit more car stuff in there. Maybe that's what's missing.
There's still, I think there's still more car action than anything else. They just got to make a little more room for kung fu and shooting. It's now,
I think, like, it would have been cool if they put her in a car, put her in, like, a self-driving car as she's barking orders.
Well, that scene where all the fucking cars are driving. Like,
I think that's the second coolest scene in the movie. Just because
I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No,
It's
just
because it was
like,
CG.
that many self-driving cars like out there. Yeah. It's like, is this that common? Jesus Christ!
It's just
maybe in New York it is. I guess.
Cars?
It sucks that most of it was CG, but I like the way they mixed in the CG with like obviously you could tell it's a CG shot with like regular cameras, but then they would switch to like GoPros. It looked like they filmed them in GoPros in some sections of it, and that made it look like it was real, like it was actually happening.
I just want to say I really hope someone like they saw Fast and the Furious 1 back in '99 or whenever when it came out. They went into a coma. And they woke up. First they woke up like, oh my god, my wife and family, fuck that, we're going to see Fast Furious 8. Wait, what? And then just go in like, what the fuck happened? See all these cars crashing into each other like a giant, like that was like straight out of like a superhero movie right there. Like all those cars colliding and piling over each other. Then like Vin Diesel comes out like fucking like Crossbones from Captain America.
I like that scene a lot, but like what does Charlize Theron need Vin Diesel for that? Because I'm pretty sure she could have easily just used one of her minions. Like no one else she almost killed those two people that are in that limousine.
No one else is strong enough to lift up that saw.
But not the dude from Game of Thrones, the redheaded dude from Game of Thrones.
Here's the thing. You know what? Here, bear with me on this for a second, Spencer. I've still not seen an episode of Game of Thrones. But if I see some like side character that seems kind of imposing, I'm like, that guy's probably in Game of Thrones. That's probably in Game of... And sure enough, he's in fucking Game of Thrones. It's like everybody... Like, Game of Thrones actors are coming into... Granted, such a big cast, but it's like they're coming into everything now. So I'm just like, I heard an Irish accent. He had a big-ass beard. Like, I bet he's in Game of Thrones. I don't have to look him up. I don't even know his fucking name. I just guessed.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had that there. Well, it's one of those ones like the Vin Diesel thing. I thought that was a good twist too, because like, one, I like how they don't give it away right at the beginning. Like, why is Vin Diesel turning bad? And it's like they hold off for till almost halfway into the movie, and then once they finally show it, I think that was a cool way. It's like, not only are we gonna bring back an older character, but guess what? There's this like mysterious like love child involved here too, and Vin Diesel's gotta fucking protect his boy.
Yeah, that was one of those things where it I'll say this, like, it's not that the movie, like, not that, like, the drama was so, like, oh my god, it was so heartfelt, it was so dramatic. But I'll say that was, like,
Ryan.
That's me, yeah, that's me.
It was heartfelt for me.
But I will say that it's probably...
I care about the family.
I believe you do. I believe you care about the family. But I will say, though, it's probably the most, like, vulnerable I've seen Vin Diesel's character in this movie, because usually when he's, like, upset, it's just kind of like his eyes widen, he's just like, no, this one, it was like he was literally like shaking. He looked vulnerable for a second, it was, and it doesn't sound like a lot when I say it, but it just seems like really dramatic from anything else he's done in these movies.
I really like the end action sequence. Spoilers for Fate and the Furious, by the way, but like when Vin Diesel like jumps over the submarine as the heat seeker missile is like following him, and he jumps out of the car, all these flames come around him, and then the family comes around and surrounds Vin Diesel. It made me think of like of the ending of Guardians of the Galaxy, how Groot saved everyone in the team. Vin Diesel, his family saves him. It all becomes full circle.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I like that too. It's like they almost do the thing where like the car is almost the extension of the person's personality and their characteristics. Somebody might go, "That's kind of fucking dumb." It's like, well, then you probably don't like storytelling.
Yeah, sometimes like the characters don't even have to say anything. It's all like cars like speaking for the characters. Like when Vin Diesel like jumps down like to save his team, like. How do they know he's like how he's turned or he's good again? Like, because he's driving. I can tell how he's driving.
Well, The Rock's is always driving something that's big and bulky and going to run something like the destroys everything in his path.
He's like, I'm taking a shortcut.
Yeah, and then like Roman, he's always driving. Tyrese's character is always
something expensive and like
flashy, but not practical. You know,
well, that or sometimes he's driving something that's kind of like almost, I'm gonna say this, stereotypically black. Like he'll have like some kind of like lowrider Cadillac thing.
Yeah, he was driving. What was he driving? Like not my Benz or whatever it was when they're like.
It wasn't in this one, but it was like I think it was in Fast and the Furious 7. He's got that, and like it's a cool car, but I think he does have like that older like 80s Cadillac that's all like tricked out.
And then this one, there's like he's like driving a Lamborghini in the snow, where everything that like Ludacris is driving is always very tactical
and technical too.
Yeah,
because he's like a nerd. For some reason, Chris Morgan, the writer of like all these movies, he said he took Chris Bridges, Ludacris, the rapper, and said, he's a nerd.
Like Ludacris.
I think it's just like over time that just kind of happened because it's like Ludacris started off as like, oh, he's just repairing cars, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but guess what? He knows more than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna say that like they something you could say because people could say about like, oh, this movie's cheesy or whatever. Well, I'll say this regarding it's not my favorite series. I mean, I like them. I don't really. I probably, truth be told, if Marley wasn't in town, I probably wouldn't have gone on my way to see it. But every time I see him, I do enjoy him. And something that I got to give it credit for, none of the characters kind of blend together. They all stand out from one another. No character feels like, I'll say this. They seem like kind of like, even though he still stood out, Scott Eastwood was kind of like, new white guy. That's your character.
Well, he was like the new Paul Walker pretty much at the end of the day. It's like, we need to replace Paul Walker, get Scott Eastwood. And I'm like, perfect. That to me works. Because I keep going like, what I want Scott Eastwood to be, I want Scott Eastwood to be the next Wolverine. That's what I want him. I think he'd be the most perfect person, in a sense, replace Hugh Jackman when that time comes.
That'd be a good idea. I don't even, well, yeah.
Sadly enough, I don't know if he's big enough yet, though. That's the thing.
He's supposed to replace Paul Walker, but at the end of the movie, they were like, oh, the kid's name is Brian. So I'm like...
Well, Paul Walker still is still alive in the movie.
Yeah,
so
but
it's more like he just retired. And they're like, he's got a fucking family.
Yeah.
Let him be. Let all us loners stick together.
Yeah.
All this movie was building up on couple twists here and there, and Marley says there's a twist coming. And I'm glad they didn't do this, but what I almost assumed was they're gonna get Paul Walker's brother and CG his face and surprise you and have him come at the end and have Brian help him out. I thought they were going to do something like that. I'm glad they didn't do that. But
well, it's like I was kind of wondering if they're going to do that too. It's like, is Paul Walker going to be the one that like Charlize Theron's got held?
That's what I was assuming. Or it's just kind of like they don't show him, but they like we got like a sniper right outside their house or something like that. You know what I mean? Something to that effect.
Yeah, like one of those ones where it's like, yeah, it's not there, but like, yeah, we got him covered.
They show footage from like 1999.
Well, that's what I kind of thought too. Is like I thought it was like, well, I'm like, it could be a sister because it actually did, the Helena character like didn't cross my mind until like it happened. It's like, oh, because I was kind of like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that character. That character was in like a one and done movie. Or maybe she was like, I'm trying to think back. Okay. She's in 5, and I think she might be in 6.
I think she was in 5, and she was like chasing him down, and she's like, I know I'm a cop, but I love you, Vin Diesel. We will stay together. And then like at 6, they're fucking, and he's just like, yo, you stay here and do the dishes. I gotta go on a mission. Then he comes back like, yo, check it. My old shit's still alive. How about that? Not the problem. I'll go away. Bye.
Well, that's like the one thing. So it's like, cause even in this movie in Fast and Furious 8, it's one of those ones like, because at the beginning Michelle Rodriguez was like, oh, you know what? You'd be a great father. Not saying that he's like, you pregnant? Like, I mean, like he gets this thing like, you're pregnant? Yeah, I am. Fuck it! Just gets out, gets into his fucking Charger and drives away. Just like all these years,
family is broken. I want to say this: the poster. I'm not sure what you poster your movie theater had. We had. I'm not saying this to be like. I don't mean this in a insulting way. I mean this literally. The gayest poster for it, like for this movie. There is like it looks like an artsy like drama. It was a picture of Vin Diesel looking down, high contrast. Like really dark lighting, just looking down, and then The Rock behind him, out of focus, kind of looking over his shoulder, like he just broke up with them. It's just like, yeah, family will be broken.
Like, no, I saw that poster. I was like, what the fuck? Like, who put this together? Like that was a bad poster. Like, well, there's like they have multiple ones, but still.
Well, this series, okay, I'm not saying this to be insulting. This series is gay as fuck. It's gay as fuck. There's so much like bro time, like fuck, dude, you know. fuck, I fucking hate you, but I respect the fuck out of you, dude. Yeah, me too, man.
But that's not a bad thing. But what I was
Not a
going
bad
back
thing.
to originally with like Michelle Rodriguez's character, it's like at the very end, like it's like Vin Diesel's, oh yeah, like, oh by the way, I got a kid. How about that? And she's like totally fine with it. There's not like that, which I actually like that because I'm sick and tired of movies where it's like, somebody flips out because of that. It's like, cool, just accept it. Whatever, fuck it. This Fast and Furious. We're good. Got this kid.
Obviously, you had someone else on the side while you were seeing me, but oh well. I was going rogue there in like a few movies ago, so it's okay. You could have really.
Say, hey, you shot me in the shoulder, ran me off the road a couple of times. I had a kid. I'll say we're even.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how it's like accepted. Yeah, whatever. But I think it's kind of nice.
Well, I think it's kind of one of those things like there's already so much going on in these movies just to add in this whole plot of like, why is it not working out? That would ultimately just weigh it down. I think that was one of those things like, I know it's an entirely different series, but I think that was one of the things that kind of weighed down not the last two, I guess the middle two Pirates of the Caribbean movies, because they had to put in force in this love triangle bullshit and this whole kind of like, we're getting married, we don't get along, and this and that. It's just like, no, just fight other pirates and fight the octopus man. Just do that shit, This movie,
well, that's like
they're smart enough just to say, yeah, it happens in every other movie. Let's just make it about the action.
Yeah, let's accept it. We got very accepting people here. It's all family. Well, it's kind of like that's like the Legend of Zorro, like the second one with Antonio. That movie, it's kind of the downfall of that one is it has like, we have a family now, but now it's kind of on the edge, and Zorro's got to figure it out.
The kid doesn't know his dad's Zorro or whatever the fuck.
No, the kid knows he's Zorro, but for some reason, it's like he's having problems with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and things aren't going well. It's like, no, just put the fucking suit on and fight people, because that's what we're here for.
You don't cut my clothes off with a Z anymore, do you?
Well, it's just one of those ones because like that, The Mask of Zorro, super good movie, especially for like kind of like being an origin story one, or whatever you want to say. It's because it's almost like a sequel to like the original Zorro, almost like Antonio Banderas is that Zorro, and now you got a new Zorro. But then it's like, yeah, in the Legend of Zorro, it's like it's still a good movie. I'm not saying it's not good, but they throw in that like we're having problems, and I don't know what it is. That always is kind of annoying like sequel thing.
I'm wondering how many married couples sit in the theater just like vacant stares, just like, I relate to that.
Yeah, you don't let me go out and fight crime, do you, honey? Well, no, I don't want you to put the tights on again because one, you don't fit into them. Well, fuck you. It's because I'm super depressed of you. Just like flips out in the theater, like, oh my god, I didn't realize Zorro was gonna bring him to this.
I can see that happening in Snorri's theater.
It happened in like almost any theater, I guess, technically, if somebody was just like on the breaking point.
Yeah.
And they thought that they were just going to go see some good old action, swashbuckling fun. And all of a sudden, they throw marital problems into it.
Just like you just see like some angry couple walking out of Cars 3. Like, oh shit, what happened in that movie?
Like this big fight.
Yeah.
God, what about that movie pushed them over the edge?
Brian and I were talking a little bit after we saw Fate of the Furious, and I asked the question like, what? So they've pretty much done everything. Like they fought drug lords, they fought international terrorists, they fought like technical geniuses with Charlize Theron. Where did they go from here? Like,
I mean, I guess you already fought. I mean, they apparently got some kind of new trilogy planned out because they got Charlize Theron for 2 more movies.
Yeah.
You said that, right, Spence?
Yeah, well, Scott Eastwood said this, and he said they're going to 10 is what the plan is.
Okay.
And they're actually already in the middle of, I think they're shooting the next 2, like, right now.
That's so crazy that they turn these around so quickly.
Didn't the last one come out last year?
No, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. But still, 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, 2 years is that's a nice, like, block, I think, 2 years. Hopefully they're not trying to do the every year thing, because, like, that could sometimes be a little bit too quick, I think, sometimes. I think some things need a little bit more build-up.
Did they say regarding that?
I mean,
they say
realistically,
10,
I'll
like,
see it no matter what.
Did they say, is it just going to be like, okay, they're going to come out back-to-back, or are they doing the, like, doing the Empire Strikes Back thing, where it ends on, like, a dark note, but the next one comes out next year?
And they didn't mention anything of how it's going to go. He just said that they're going to 10. So I don't know if if that means that these hopefully they don't do the thing where they're going to be like, really interconnected between the next two. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's still kind of like a standalone picture.
These movies aren't standalone. They have their own continuity. They bring back
they have continuity, but like you could technically go into it, and it's not like that. The story of whatever one you go into is kind of its own thing. It's not like it's super continual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm just mean like because there's like literally like it was like 6 or 7. There's a part where like they need to get information from the villain from like 4. Just like, remember that drug dealer from number 4? Like, no, not really. But all right, here we are.
Well, it's like in this one too. This one had a bunch of
yeah.
You know, this one I thought was cool that one, they brought Luke Evans back into it, even though his part was short. He didn't do anything but like put a gun to like a pilot's head.
Where was Luke Evans again? Who
he was
he's Dracula.
What? He was
he's
Shaw's.
Jason
Yeah, Jason.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's the evil brother. Okay, that's right.
Because I always think of him as like, well, he's Gaston in the new Beauty and the Beast, but to me, he's always Dracula from Dracula Untold.
Yeah. I guess that's a deep cut for like hardcore fan. I guess because he got a little bigger since then, so it's probably like, look who's fucking back for a minute.
But I was listening to an interview with Chris Morgan, the writer of like he's written all of the Fast and Furious movies, which I'm like, that's quite a feat to go from like just like a standard racing movie to like what it is now. And he was joking, like it was obviously a joke, or it could eventually lead into this. But he said like, well, we haven't gone to space yet, so I'm like,
that's number 13.
How awesome would that be if like Ludacris like builds like a car where it has like rockets on it, and they're like chasing the bad guy. He jumps in like a spaceship, and he's just like the team's like, well, I guess we can't get him now, and Ludacris is just like, well,
I planned ahead. Hey guys, I planned ahead.
He flips a switch and just starts flying up in the air.
Tyrese is like, no guys, I ain't ready for this.
Tyrese is in the passenger seat. He's like, no.
Well, I think really almost like the thing to do is because people always go like, oh well, what how can they top this? It's sometimes the thing to do is almost to go backwards and go, let's go to a more like grounded, street level style again. And I think that would be kind of. Yeah, it's like, go back to make it almost a little bit more simple again. I think that might be, I mean, who knows with these next 9 and 10. If they're super interconnected, then it's going to probably stay in the same. I don't care. Anyway, every single time they deliver. You know what I mean? Like Fast and the Furious is one of those series. Like, how many other series can you think of that go like up to 8 that are like consecutively good every single time? Like never fail.
I can't think of any like franchise that gets better as it goes along.
Because I think of things like Friday the 13th, you know what I mean? Like, there's in between, there's a couple like, okay, Friday the 13th movies. And then strange enough, number 8's like, oh, dude, that's the best one of them all.
Yeah.
Regarding this right here, I'm kind of wondering if they're going to do that thing. I don't think they will, but I'm just thinking about in the context. I just kind of remind myself a little bit. Logan, I'm wondering if they do have the one where it's just like maybe 10 more years from now, Vin Diesel's like, I'm getting too old for this or whatever. So they just do the one where he's the last one, and they make the R-rated. Not saying Logan exactly, but they do the serious, hard drama R-rated Fast and the Furious. Like, well, we've done everything else. It was a kid-friendly property. Now it's just kind of going back to just like they're older now, so we'll just make it rated R. Fuck it. This is all that's left to do.
You never know. They could do something like that. And it's kind of funny because you say it's like almost like a kid-friendly property because like you watch the original Fast and the Furious, and that's one of those movies that almost feels like it could be rated R.
A few more things. Like this has all the stuff to be an R-rated movie because it has, there's violence and there's always, ass and there's always like, some, like flag girl that's like wearing next to nothing. But it's kind of like, what was I going to say? It's kind of like, any kind of 80, like PG-13, 80s action, not PG-13, not 80s, but like any kind of PG-13 action movie your dad would show you when you were a kid,
Yeah, and I think that's definitely what it's kind of becoming out, and that's technically not a bad thing. I think that works for these movies. But like when you watch the original Fast and the Furious, like that movie, if that movie was rated R, it would work. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't feel like that would seem odd because it almost feels like more of an adult movie. And maybe that's just coming from like the child of me watching it because obviously all the adults at the time are like, no, that's a fucking kid's car movie because none of us would put neon lights on the bottom of our cars. I remember for some reason that like somebody's dad, like he could not like comprehend the neon lights below the car. And I remember someone was like, he's like, no, Dad, it's just cool. It's just like an aesthetic. It looks neat. He's like, well, what does it do? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make the car go faster. It doesn't do this. It's just like, it was just too much for him.
Well, this guy's never been on the show, so I can say, was it Tori's dad?
No, but it was Cass's dad. I guess Tori's dad.
Oh, I
looked
could
just as
so
like-
see Cass's dad saying that. Okay, yeah.
But it was just like he could the neon bar is just like it was just too much, and that was like where the generation gap came into play was the neon bars on the bottom.
My
of the
dad
car.
will watch, like, my dad's a huge car enthusiast, and I did not get that part from him. But he's a huge car enthusiast, and he'll kind of like roll his eyes at some of that shit, but he's kind of like, he doesn't really question it. He's like, oh, whatever, they're gonna do what they want with it, you know. As long as it moves fast, that's what he likes.
Yeah.
But I think with like Fast and Furious 9, they're probably, like I was telling Ryan, like they'll probably pull the sitcom card where like the baby in Fast and Furious 8, Fast and Furious 9, he's going to be like 13 years old or older than that. And what I hope if they do pull that card, they should just pull Ansel Elgort into the Fast and Furious franchise since he's in Baby Driver, and since Baby Driver is like my most anticipated movie of the year.
That's probably mine too, definitely.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that now whenever I see, there's a time I'd like watch a movie, I'm like, oh, he has a kid now, how about that? Now it's just like, that's a little seed they might plant for later. That's a possibility. If any of these fuckers get too old, then he's gonna pick it back up. I see that now whenever I see a movie. If there's like a younger cast member that comes in and he's just like, oh, I'm just learning the ropes from the main character now, just like.
Well, they tried that with Indiana Jones 4.
I'm not saying it always works. I'm not saying it always works, but that's like why that's there now. I can't just think that's part of the story anymore. To me, I see like a matrix code, like all the numbers.
You just see dollar symbols instead, though, going down in green.
Yeah.
And then like money symbols in other countries, because that's kind of like what it is at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like something, you know, with big properties like Fast and the Furious, it's that kind of thing that it's once again, it's like the people who are like, I'm not seeing it because Paul Walker died and it just feels like it should end there. It's like, okay, well, are you going to pay the bills at fucking Universal? No, you're not. You know what I mean? It's like somebody's got to pay them. And here's the thing. Fast and the Furious makes just as much money as it always has.
Minions
So they're
won't
gonna
last
keep it
forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Minions is last, and I don't like it. I ain't defending it, but I mean, you have no idea how many times I see those fucking things on T-shirts every day, every fucking.
Well, the thing too is that they're trying to lead me into Despicable Me 3 because they're like, we got Trey Parker, and it just almost feels like they're like literally carding to me, like there's a fucking minion like like in the corner pointing over, like, hey Spencer, look. It's like, you little fucking Twinkie.
You know, well, you know what Trey Parker is also in? 21 seasons of South Park. So
Yeah,
that's I got all that to watch. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that, but I think it's just cool more for the fact it's like, oh, dude, fucking somebody's actually taken Trey Parker's talent, you know, and not just in South Park. They're like, hey, you want to be in this big movie? That to me is like, I think that's like more like the respect for Trey Parker, even if the character might be kind of dumb in the movie. Well, because here's the thing about Despicable Me. When I see the trailer, everything but the Minions looks fine. It's the Minions that I think ruins it for me, because I look at the rest of the movie and like, well, that looks kind of funny. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say it's like probably an amazing movie, but it looks like it's enjoyable. But then you see the Minions show up and you're like, fuck this movie. Fuck it up its stupid ass.
I watched the first one, and I don't remember it that well.
With the side story one?
No,
like
the very first movie.
Oh,
the very first
Despicable Me one.
Oh.
I saw it, and you know, it was kind of funny. I mean, it didn't blow me away. I don't feel the need to go out and watch it again or anything like that.
I think
it's not Zootopia.
No, it's not Zootopia, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the Minions in that didn't bother me as much because they weren't as relevant, but then they start just shoehorning those things in to everything, and everywhere I go, I fucking see those things.
They're fine when they're side characters, but when they have to like hold an entire movie, like in Minions, that's when they just get annoying. But I remember I watched like 30 minutes of the Minions movie, and I had to turn it off because I couldn't take like their little voices.
Yeah, just their banter. It's just like.
But the funny thing is about the Minions movie, is that it has a bunch of 80s music in it. Like, it has like Van Halen and like.
Even though it takes place in the 60s?
Well, yeah, it takes place in the 60s, but it has like all this older music that kids will never get. Like, I don't know if it's there for like the parents.
That's for the parents that are like in there. They're like, oh, Van Halen. Or unless you're the security guard, you're like, fucking Van Halen. And you start rapping at the screen and like tearing it down.
I'm pretty sure that guy was just Inglourious Bastards, that theater. He just locked the doors, light it from. That guy has a projection of his face. Like,
he's like lighting. He's like,
did.
where's that 4K player? He's like trying to light on fire. It's like, oh, that's not film.
I had conversations.
What do you mean it's not film?
I have a message for Universal. I don't like the Minions.
I actually remember that dude when I used to work at the theater and I used to work at the box office. I had conversations with that dude for like 3 hours, like when on slow nights. And like when I was talking, I meant to say like earlier in the podcast where, like when I used to have conversations like for 3 hours, I'm like, I was like, this guy's cool, but I'm really glad that there's like plexiglass in between me and him because.
Is he like the guy he gets a little shaky if you make eye contact too long?
Yeah, and I'm just like, yeah. And you're just kind of like nodding and just like agreeing with him. It's just like, but when my shift's over, I clock out and I leave, I'm gonna run to my car. I don't know.
Like he's like one of those kind of guys who would probably want to like, hey, what are you doing? I got a 6-pack of beer. You mind if I come by your place? Like, and then he'd be over at your place and drink a beer, and then he'd be like, you mind if I sleep here on the floor? It's like, so you have a
blanket.
Well, no, you got a blanket too, and you got to change your clothes as well. What else you got in there?
Just loving that total like early like late 70s like punk rock style.
We find out when you post this podcast on YouTube, there's like one comment, and it's the dude. He's like, "Sup guys?"
Van Halen sucks. 69. His avatar is just him just holding a riot stick looking mad.
Yeah.
It's like, I will find you.
No, it's just, what's up, guys?
That was
Well, at the end of the day, he's a real nice guy. Not saying anything against that. Just he's got funny stories.
He is a nice guy. He's just bizarre.
He's
asking like, very bizarre.
You have any
almost a little too friendly.
Do you have any firecrackers? Fuck yeah, I got some firecrackers. Maybe you were by my Chevy Nova.
He's like, yeah, we'll go find some police cars and throw it in their open windows.
Fucking pigs! Like, oh, Jesus, dude, no, I didn't know this is what you meant when you said you want to hang out.
He's like fucking chucking beer bottles as he's driving. He's still got the fucking security badge. He's like, it's okay if we get pulled over. I just flashed my security card.
It's like the Bill Hader character in Superbad, where they're just like drinking like on the job and drinking and driving, and as they're still in uniform.
As you're driving down Washington Street, he takes out his riot stick and he's like breaking all like the side, the rear view mirrors.
You have cars going by, smashing windows. Like,
yeah. Fucking Bad Brains is blaring on the radio.
Yeah, he's singing along to it.
Oh, punk rockers. Older
punk rockers.
Precise.
It's just interesting because I think it's one of those ones like punk rock has that feeling like you don't really see it as being old. You know what I mean? Like rock and roll, it's already has like an old feeling. You know what I mean? I don't mean that like in a bad way, but you can see that old rocker guy and it's just common. And even like you can see that old 80s rocker guy and it's common. But it's just like a lot of punk people, I think it's just one of those ones that get to like age 30 and they're like, oh, I got to put this stuff away. I got to get myself a suit and everything. And it kind of like ends there. You know what I mean?
Even though
it's
like go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like a yearbook picture and that's all it is now. It's closed.
Well, even though it's like, Iggy Pop, that still doesn't seem old to me. I know it's older stuff, but it's the way it sounds so kind of.
It's always
younger.
Weird to think that's like it's 60s music. You know, when it started, it's like whoa.
Or like Lou Reed. I know Lou Reed's not exactly punk, but it's that weird kind. It's kind of in that same ballpark. Like Iggy Pop, David Bowie, Lou Reed, some of those guys at all. A lot of bands have played at CBGBs. A lot of those guys,
and what they call like garage music.
That like late '60s
grunge,
not grunge, but like late that kind of late '60s to like late '70s kind of garage music. It's
like the pre-punk music.
Runaways, a lot of proto-punk type stuff. There's people probably make better examples than what I just made, but anyway, like that shit right there.
Like MC5.
Yeah, that's a good example. MC5. That right there never really seemed like that old to me. I know it is older music by this point. So it's kind of when you see like Iggy Pop in like interviews or like, like surviving members of MC5, you're just like, oh shit, Well,
because it's that weird thing that you go like some of those bands like the MC5, like you listen to like you kick out the jams, and it's like to me it's like those ones like it doesn't sound any different than like the Rage Against the Machine version, like their version. It sounds like just as heavy, and you go, well, what else was on the radio at this same time? well, I guess you had the monkeys, and you're like, well, that feels really old. You know what I mean? Like, you think of some of the other, or even things like Jimi Hendrix. It's like Jimi Hendrix is amazing, but like Jimi Hendrix does feel like very 60s. It does feel very old, in a sense. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but where some of these other bands, I think it's just like it's almost kind of like Iggy Pop. Like that doesn't feel nearly as old as Jimi Hendrix, even though it technically is just as old as Jimi Hendrix. It's kind of weird to think about that.
I want to say "Lust for Life" was in like a Nissan ad or something like that. I want to say it was a car ad with.
Yeah, well, there was that time period where that song was playing like on. That was like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that.
Not even 10 years. I want to say this like recently. Yeah.
Huh. Well, I remember that in a couple. Well, no, it wasn't a Nissan ad. It was like a travel ad for like Travelocity or something.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah, a travel ad.
It's like the Travelocity gnome as he's just going punk rock. It's just like
is the Travelocity
like tattoos?
Is he just like fucking breaking glass on his chest, like punching people in the face in the first row, like passing out, like due to taking too much heroin before getting on stage?
As it goes.
Oh, we're thinking. I'm glad they switched out the Kill Bill song for "Lust for Life."
Yeah, the Kill Bill song is one of those ones like that's great in the movie, but like boy, there was a period where people like when they heard that song wanted to like punch a baby. It like got so bad.
That was one of those things. I'll say this is like a little like kind of personal for a second, but I bought the Kill Bill soundtrack, and that was like. I didn't buy it for that song. That song's on there. And my mom like, you like that? Woohoo! Woohoo! She legitimately thought I really liked that song. I don't like the fucking song. It's just on the CD. Like it's like, oh, Ryan, it's that song. Like, I don't like the song. It's on the fucking CD. I like the RZA music and the like all the weird like Western stuff on there, you know. But it was just like one of those things your parents do. Oh, look, Ryan, there's your. I don't.
There's your theme song, Ryan. Like
well,
if you
it's
were
like,
a professional wrestler, that's the song you would play as you walked in.
Well, it's like I work at my day job. I work at a bike rental shop, and like whenever I'm on vacation or go somewhere with my grandparents, we go somewhere like, look, Ryan, bike rentals. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't scream that at them.
I didn't think I was uncovering something.
Work for an hour.
Look, bike rentals. I don't give a fuck.
I didn't think I was uncovering something in your past when I said that, bro.
I just had to get it out. I just had like a
it's
flashback.
Okay, Ryan. It's okay, Ryan.
Not like your grandparents are like, hey, Ryan, do you think you could go up and talk to the guy and get us a better deal? It's like, no, you don't fucking do that to those guys.
Marley's like here, like Marley's over here like, it's not your fault. Fuck you, fuck you. It's not your fault. Fuck you, not you too, Marley. It's like the end of like, the end of fucking...
you're like curled up into a ball. It's just like,
it's not your fault.
The punk rocker security guard comes by and he's all like, hey, Ryan, I got a way we can take care of this. He like gives you a fucking nightstick and you go out in the middle of the night just beating bikes, like random bikes you find on the road, just like beating them to death. Like, come on, Ryan, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good? You're like, it feels good. It feels fucking awesome.
And then that song plays in the background and you're just like,
he's like, I got your theme song, Ryan.
And you're like, where's that song playing? You find it and you just smacked like the stereo that's playing.
And then I find out there was no stereo.
Because the stereo
it was just, you know, and you weren't beating bikes, you were beating like children in like a playground. You're like, how did it end up like this?
So this has become the last episode of MASH where you find out it wasn't a chicken he strangled.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Oh.
But yeah, The Rock.
Oh, baby,
he was in Fate of the Furious. You gotta see
Rock's always amazing. It's like I don't care.
No one rolls The Rock.
I will see Baywatch just because The Rock's in it. It's like he sells stuff for me. It's like you gotta put up with little boy Zach, but
I don't have a problem with Zac Efron. He's aware of it. It's like if you could embrace it. If he was still just kind of like, yeah, bro, I'm Zac Efron. What's up? You know, if he's a little bit more like I'm Zac Efron.
That's what he's doing now.
No, but he's a little bit more self-aware of it. I mean, I haven't really seen him in a whole bunch of stuff, but what I've seen him in, he's kind of aware of like, yeah, I'm playing the meathead character. Right? Kind of like Channing Tatum. For a while, Channing Tatum's like, I'm a serious actor, bro. And then the second he made fun of himself, he giving a better actor. And then now it's like, oh shit, he did a good job in Hateful Eight, and he can do like serious roles.
Well, yeah, Channing Tatum's like, he's a guy that like, if he's in a movie, I'm kind of looking forward to it because I trust him that much by now.
It's one of those things. I've said this before on the show, but it was like one of those things. Like I don't have like Spencer, Marley. You guys both have like your couple of actors, your couple of directors. You're like, fuck that person. I don't really have it that much. My only one I did have was Channing Tatum, And then I saw him in like, because I was just like, this fucking, because his story was like, somebody said you're a good looking guy, you should go into movies. Like, okay. I'm like, oh, I'm in movies now, whatever. and like, and I was just like, fuck this pretty boy, fuck, whatever. And then I saw him in 2021 Jump Street. I'm like, okay, he was okay in that. And then saw him in other things. I'm like, you know what? Fuck me. That guy's, he's a good actor. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he makes you want to see a movie.
I was
see White House Down. He's fucking awesome in that.
I don't give a shit if he was in Jupiter Ascending. He did good in Jupiter Ascending. That movie had problems, but he did good in it.
Well, yeah, I like Jupiter Ascending a lot. So.
See what you started?
Yeah. See, you don't talk on Jupiter Ascending. That's like the best movies the Wachowski brothers came out with after like Matrix.
I like Sense8.
So all
Wachowski. You mean Wachowski siblings?
Wachowski siblings.
Yeah, we're siblings nowadays, but you know they start off as brothers.
Because they're both women.
They're both sisters now.
Yeah, they're Wachowski sisters.
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, okay, well that makes it easier then.
Yeah.
So it's instead of Larry, it's Lana, and then is the other one Andrea then?
Yes, I believe.
Andrea and Lana. Okay.
Don't make me go to my phone.
That's good to go. I will look at it.
Pretty much, you know, they're obsessive Ghost in the Shell, and they're just trying to turn themselves more into Ghost in the Shell as life goes on. They're like, oh, this is what we need. Once we have money, we can finally become who we've always wanted to be.
They get their own shells they want.
Yeah, we'll become the brother majors, which are now the sister majors.
There you go. There you go. They just don't go by the Wachowskis. They just go by the majors.
Yeah, but. You know, it's one of those ones like, yeah, like Channing Tatum. It's like, yeah, that guy wins me over in movies. It's like, like White House Down, fucking awesome movie.
Actually, there's one more of the I don't hate him, but that director, I'm not. I like Star.
Oh, you don't like Roland Emmerich.
I'm not big on him. He's got some good movies, but it's not like a Roland Emmerich movie comes out. I'm like, fuck that. But it's like the ground cracking, and is there a big old fucking tidal wave coming in? I don't give a shit.
Alien Attack 2. Don't forget Alien Attack.
Did he actually Alien Attack 2?
No, it was Independence Day.
Oh, Independence Day 2? That's a good movie, though.
Yeah. Did he direct that one?
Yeah, he did.
He directed both.
I didn't really care to see that one.
Really?
Yeah. I'm the cynical asshole this episode.
No,
you're like,
no,
I
Bill
don't have these things, but fuck
Independence
this movie, fuck that movie.
I'm just like
individualist.
I'm just like it's just that guy. I'm not a fan of most of his movies. I'm not big on a lot of disaster movies. And Independence Day seems more like a disaster movie than it does like let's watch aliens fight humans. I know that happens. That happens.
That's not his movie though.
Yeah, it's true.
Also,
it might as well.
San Andreas is amazing. I think that's one of the best disaster movies ever made.
The only thing about San Andreas, which I didn't see it, but the only thing about it, I don't feel like it's that big of a threat because it's The Rock. All The Rock would have to do, the earth starts shaking, he just has to pull off the side of the road, punch the ground, shut the fuck up! It stops. Movie's over.
Well, that's probably how it started. He just gets out of the car, punches the ground, just like, oh shit,
punch it again, punch it again.
Yeah.
That movie was
such an awesome scene, Fate of the Furious, when he gets out of the car and like freaking moves like the torpedo.
I don't need shit.
I know that's amazing. It's like things like that just make my day. You know what I mean? It's like put more of that in movies. Like there's always those people out there. They're always like, that's not realistic. It's like, then what the fuck are you doing going to the movie theaters? Look out the goddamn window if you want realism. Like in movie theaters, I want to be entertained. I want to see cool stuff. I want like larger than life.
That's why we saw movies to begin with, is to escape from real life.
If we saw that, like, for that movie, it's totally fine. If we saw that suddenly, like, in Saving Private Ryan or some shit, then okay.
But I don't care. If Vin Diesel did it in Saving Private Ryan, I don't care. Like,
to quote, what's that guy's name? The Speaker of the House dude. Alternative facts.
Sean Spicer?
Alternative facts.
You mean Melissa McCarthy, right?
Shut up. Alternative facts. That's what they are, alternative facts.
Okay. Or just there's that whole thing like, well, Hitler never killed anybody with fucking like gas. Oh boy.
Well, if you mean by his own hand, I guess that's correct. He was like he didn't lift the finger, I guess, for that. Well, I guess he.
Here's Google. Just have fun. Have fun.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah, Fast and the Furious 8, totally awesome, very fun. I enjoyed it a lot, just as much as always.
It was a good movie. It was fun. It's like definitely check it out in theaters because that's where you get the most bang for your buck with all the explosions and all that.
Yeah, and I think if anybody's like, because there's a lot of people out there, they're just like, duh, fuck those movies. Like, no, go see this one. It's that good.
See it for The Rock.
If
too.
if you
like The Rock, see it for The Rock, because his fight scene with Jason Statham is actually well, it's not really a fight scene with him, but
it's a cool action scene.
It's a cool action scene, yeah.
It's a tumble scene. It's a rough and tumble scene.
Yeah. Plus, I like that song too.
Well, that's like I noticed these movies. They kind of they slowly kind of because I remember the originals, the first couple, they had a lot of like maybe a little bit of orchestral stuff, but most of it was just kind of like techno and hip hop and.
And the first one had metal in it too. Like that's something you forget too.
A little bit of metal, and then this one though, by this point, it's becoming so big that it's just like okay, here's 2 or 3, kind of like techno or dance songs, and then it's mostly like when the submarine comes out, it's like a Latin choir, like, and then like when they're fighting on the plane and all that shit. So they kind of, I noticed it's almost kind of getting bigger because they're almost doing more of like big movie orchestral shit going on.
Yeah, no, that would have been awesome if like during when they're on the plane with Jason Statham and the baby, they just we heard the Alvin and the Chipmunks song throughout that entire fight sequence.
That seems like an Edgar Wright thing. That honestly seems like something Edgar Wright would do, like have some weird song as a badass action scene play out and have it fit oddly. I'll say this. I was actually telling this to Marley. It led to kind of a slight debate. But that whole scene when they introduced The Rock in this movie, and he's like, "You're my best people." I'm leaning because Marley saw the movie before me. I leaned over to him. He's me talking to a bunch of kids, is he? And then it turns out he's talking to a bunch of like people, a bunch of kids on the soccer team, and they do that like.
The
Hawaiian war dance,
yeah.
Scaring the kids. They all like these war faces on, and that's like that whole scene. It was funny, and I'm not mad that it was there. But I'm gonna say that seems like something that would have been crowbarred into like a Transformers movie.
Yeah, I will say it's that weird thing that it almost on paper it sounds like it's out of place. But The Rock just has just enough charisma to make it work. You know what I mean? It does seem kind of weird in a Fast and Furious movie. And once again, if you look, because I really just watched the Fast and Furious, the original one, over again. Even though I've seen that one a lot, it's kind of like you watch that one, and it's amazing. Kind of, even though like a lot of the same elements are there, it is that kind of thing of like how far it's also gone too. And I don't think that's like a bad thing, but it is a real serious movie in that very first one.
And also kind of think in the context of like. This shares the same world with The Rock. What's The Rock doing right now in this 90s point? You know what I mean? And also, it's also kind of one of those things where, what was I gonna say regarding that? It's like, fuck.
Well,
it's like he's such a. Sorry, I remember now. He seems like such a staple character. It seems weird, kind of going back, like, oh right, he wasn't always in it.
Yeah, he didn't come until number 5.
Yeah,
I like. That scene, like when he's like coaching on the sidelines, and the dude from the government comes in, and shows him like the next mission, like what he has to do, and he's just like, now listen, if you're not gonna support the fucking Red Dragons, then you can just.
I love my country, but I love my daughter more.
Yeah, and he's like, when they were like saying like, oh, a bunch of. Girls and their moms are watching the soccer game, and they're like, I think a lot more moms are there. As it pans over, and it's just like the mom's just like waving,
making eyes at him. Yeah. I think there's more.
Because it's one of those ones like when you explain it, it sounds more slapstick than I guess it actually comes across. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they do it good enough that like you are so close to being in like bad territory, like a Transformers movie. Because Transformers, that's the thing, is like especially in the first 2 ones. Like they couldn't figure out that balance of how to like tell a serious story and slapstick. It got like intermixed too much. The comedy didn't work. Where I think as time went on, they finally got that a little bit more dialed in those Transformers movies. Where in this movie's one of those ones like that could come across as corny and slapsticky, but it works.
Well, especially since this movie's very not in a parody kind of way, but it's very self-aware of what it is, and it's kind of like if you don't like it by this point, if you didn't like the last couple, you're not going to like this one. There's a possibility you can like the first one and not like all these, but I think that if you don't like it by number 4, you're not going to like any of these.
What the fuck are you even doing here?
Yeah, it's like, if you didn't like it by 4, then you probably aren't going to like the rest of them.
Yeah, it's like if you don't like these movies by 8 and you're seeing 8, like what the fuck are you even doing here?
Yeah.
Well, it is that kind of one, like, because almost like the first 3 kind of go together. Like those ones are kind of like pretty much balanced. And you could even say the first one might be a little bit separate from everything else. But then it seems like from 4 on up, and 4 is almost like the in between. It's like literally the bridge to everything else. Because 5, 6, 7, and 8 like all have like the exact same like feel to them. You know, they're the big over the top action movies. They're pretty much like the Expendables, because Expendables came out the same time I think 5 did. And from that point on, it's almost like they kind of like have that same feel. Which that's where it's like, whenever I see a Fast and Furious, I'm always like, man, I would love to see fucking Expendables 4 right now.
Yeah. Well, I will say it seems like the younger Expendables.
Are we getting Expendables 4 or a reboot?
It's supposed to be in the works, and I don't know. I really hope it's not a reboot. I mean, I don't care if it's one of those ones. If they got to the point where they're like, okay, Stallone's just commander in chief in this operation, and so he's not really doing. Maybe he has a couple like shootouts. Like, I mean, it's okay because the guy's pushing 70. So I mean, if he's probably past 70. Arnold's 68. 70? So I think he's 71.
Stallone is like 70?
Yeah, because he's older than Arnold Schwarzenegger. But so it's like those ones. If he's not like throwing punches left and right, I'm okay with that. Just have Stallone be the guy who's in charge. You know what I mean? Have him and Kelsey Grammer fucking fly around in a helicopter with Harrison Ford all day long, while you have maybe like the middle-aged guys like Jason Statham, and Terry Crews and all those guys leading the charge. Like, I'm cool with that if that's the case.
Well, I heard
Bring Jet Li back, damn it.
I heard a rumor that Expendables might actually go like the Ghostbusters route, like when they reboot it.
They're
and
talking
have like
about
a female cast with Sigourney Weaver leading them, and I'm like, if Sigourney Weaver's in it, I think I'm down. I'll be there day one.
I heard that. It wouldn't surprise me though. It wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if that got scrapped because of all the negative things that came out of Ghostbusters. Maybe it's still happening.
Well, there was a lot of negative stuff around Ghostbusters, but like when Ghostbusters came out and people actually saw it, it actually like all that negative hate kind of went away.
I heard
people saw it. Like, I saw it, and I was like, this isn't the worst thing ever.
That's what I heard. I
knew it would never be the worst thing ever. There's no way it would be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's not, AIDS or the Holocaust, so it's
like people talk about it like it's that.
It's like, well, that's the thing. You said, like, it came out, and people like, it's not the worst thing ever. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, it's like, I haven't heard anything about, like, I didn't see the movie. I hear there's a teaser at the end for a sequel, but I haven't heard anything about them making the second one.
Plus,
so it's like I wouldn't surprise me the least bit if they just decided. I mean, because the movie it had a very lukewarm response from what I heard. I heard no one I knew walked away saying it was amazing. I either heard it was okay or I didn't like it.
That was mainly on the script side. It wasn't really on who was in it.
Well, I'm sure they did a good job because all those ladies are talented. It was literally just like. Nothing about it jumped out at me. Literally.
Well, I think that's how it is. Everybody I've heard it said, they're like, "Oh, it's not bad. It's just not. It's not classic." It's like everybody says, like, "Yeah, it's fun. It's worth seeing if you want to see it, but if you didn't see it, it's not like you're missing out." And I think with me for Ghostbusters, this sounds kind of weird, but like even the original Ghostbusters, like I like that movie, but that movie to me was not like legendary how it is like some people. Like some people like Ghostbusters was like up there with like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and to me. It's one of those ones like, don't get me wrong, I love Ghostbusters. It's a real good movie, but it's never been that one like, oh my god, the Ghostbusters coming out like on special edition Blu-ray, I gotta get it. It's not Predator, to me, or Jurassic Park or something like that. But I still enjoy it. Yeah, it's one of those ones at the end of the day, it's like I like Ghostbusters, but like, if they had the original cast in it, it was called Ghostbusters 3, I think I would have been there. But when it's kind of like a reboot, it's kind of like, to me, it's like, it's Ghostbusters for a different generation. That's like, not saying it's not good, but I'm just saying it's just one of those ones that just doesn't jump out at me.
Well, even that, like, we said this before the movie was even out, but my thing is, like, I have no problem with it being an all-lady cast.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
My thing is just kind of like, why just make it the next generation? Just make it like, okay, this is a new team. This is a new team set up, or whatever. Like, in... I guess the fact that they're trying to push your face, it's all ladies, it's progressive. I guess that maybe probably didn't help it so much, and I'm not sure if that's what the movie does. It kind of seemed like maybe it was doing that, but it's not even.
No, it actually doesn't do that.
Well, that's good.
It does actually say like, oh, this is a new team.
Well, no, but I mean, it
has cameos from.
But is it? Do they acknowledge events from the previous movies? That's the thing.
Yes, they do, because there's cameos from Aykroyd and like who's the
the cameos, but are they actually saying like? We were Ghostbusters once. Did they do that whole thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They actually do that.
So it technically is 3?
Well,
no. Okay,
No.
so
Okay, Marley,
then
you're
it's
not-
not fucking Ghostbusters 3. I don't know what they did, but if they're not saying, well, we were Ghostbusters once and you ladies are just taking the role, that's totally fine with me. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
I gotta see the movie before I can really judge it. It just wasn't jumping out at me.
Yeah, well, that's just one of those ones. It's kind of like, and I think with that Expendables one where I remember they had a title for it, like Expendables or whatever, and it was just like,
That's dumb.
yeah, that to me it's just like, okay, like I don't have like once again like an all-woman Expendables team, like that's cool, but tie it in with the other one, like, oh, here's this other team, and then have the thing where it's like, okay, we have Stallone's team and we have Schwarzenegger's team. Well, guess what? Here's Sigourney Weaver's team. Like that's the way you should do it if you're gonna do it that way.
Everybody kind of wants to do like a universe thing now, but it's so few movies have actually got up. The only two that have kind of like achieved the whole universe thing so far is Marvel. DC is doing it, just trudging through it, but they're doing it. And then everybody else, it's like they'll get a movie in, and then I guess King Kong. King Kong Godzilla. That's like
that's the closest one because they got two in, so they've gone much far. Because a lot of people they go one movie, and then they give up. It's kind of like the Dracula Untold one. It's like. They're like, oh, because like, who is that supposed to run? Is that supposed to be in the same universe as the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, or is it like
Hasbro's supposedly trying to do a cinematic universe too?
Which I'm going to say don't, but they're going to try it. I'm sure. It's like
G.I. Joe.
They kind of keep the Universal ones kept on rehashing because they had two Frankensteins, both went nowhere.
The Wolfman,
Dracula, then Wolfman. And none of those are all connected. They're like, okay, this is the one's going to kick it off. No, this is the one's going to kick it off. And now I guess Mummy's the one like, this is the one. Try number 5.
What, those are connected?
They're supposed to be. Originally, well, they're trying to do...
shitty Tom Cruise movie?
Sorry,
Spencer. Sorry. I know
that movie looks pretty cool. Dude, okay, I'll say this, Marley. When was the last time Tom Cruise led you astray in a movie? Exactly. Tom Cruise has like the best track record.
What's that? My cock.
That's the Tom cock. Literally, I kid you not. In the last 15 years, has Tom Cruise led you astray?
Well, one good thing I do kind of hate him as like a person, just because he's just kind of annoying. But the thing about I remember saying this, I forget where I said this, but like Tom Cruise is like really like the last kind of movie star that we have, where he can put
the pit.
You can
what about Brad Pitt on The Rock
poster? You can put Tom Cruise on a movie poster, and people will go see it.
There was a period where that was dangerously starting, like, no, fucking Tom Cruise. Now he's kind of coming back around. I'm going to say the ones we got is probably The Pit, The Rock, The Cruise, and The Bale.
The Hanks still does it.
The Hanks. We got the Hanks.
Like we always refer to him by like singular names.
Tom Hanks is kind of more like in like the movies I see him now are all independent and kind of smaller.
Well, I mean,
I will say that Tom Hanks isn't as powerful as he once was because he has movies that kind of come out.
The Denzel.
Yeah, Denzel. You could put Denzel's face on something.
Fuck yeah, Denzel. You sell a movie.
What about Sam Jackson?
Sam Jackson, I don't know.
He's never the star like in movies. It seems that's kind of rare anymore.
Well, he's the star, but he's like the killer. So he's like the best part of the movie, but he's the supporting guy. But he's always like the best part.
Yeah.
Because like that's almost like
was he in Civil War? Like Nick Fury's like, I'm on vacation. Fuck this shit. But anyway, you think he would have been there for that? But
yeah, that seems like a big like if there's any moment that he would have been there.
Motherfucker, you figure this shit out.
They should have like it's almost like one of those ones when in the next Avengers he should come back, be like from like a vacation and go like, and he didn't realize that there was all this feuding and stuff going on.
Why were you guys fighting?
just flat out, just let him play full out Jules Winfield because he's
like, I leave for 1 fucking week and this is what happens.
I'm really hoping they're saving his one motherfucker for like the last, like this is the last one. Let's just fucking do it, you know.
And the Disney ones never say fuck. That's just like a X-Men thing nowadays.
They've said it in the Netflix shows. Now that's not.
Well, no. Yeah, but those don't count. Like I mean, like the movies.
Cinematic universe. So they said fuck in the same air they breathe with Guardians of the Galaxy. But
yeah, but that's still like even though they're connected, it still feels different. I mean, like none. We haven't seen one where like Tony Stark says it or like Captain America says it.
Pussy once, but that's about as bad as it got probably.
They should just have Captain America say it because that's the one you don't expect it to come from.
I'm actually gonna backtrack a little bit. Like when I said that like if you put Tom Cruise on a movie poster, then people will go see it. Well, he was in Edge of Tomorrow, and no one really saw that.
Dude, but that movie's a great movie.
It got a lot of good reviews.
Yeah, it got a lot of good reviews, but like Edge of Tomorrow, no one really saw.
Yeah, it didn't really.
Well, that's what I mean, though. It's like I don't care if nobody saw it. Here's the thing, though. It's like, does he leave you astray? That was a good movie.
Well,
like,
yeah.
When was the only movie, the last movie I can think of that like, and it's not really his fault whatsoever. That like maybe was like slightly, and it's not bad. Like the movie itself's not bad. It's just one element's bad about it, and that one element ruins it. Is War of the Worlds. That's like the only one like I can think of in like the last 20 years that's like sort of leads me astray. But I'm gonna blame that more on Steven Spielberg than it's not Tom Cruise's fault that.
It's White Goku's fault.
Yeah,
it's fucking White Goku's fault and his sister.
Steven Spielberg likes to insert kids into his movies a lot because they're like.
Well,
a lot of times he does it really well, and then all of a sudden he pulls like the I almost just hate the hateful children genre. That's what I came to the conclusion. It's like whenever there's like children and stuff, and they're like so ungrateful. I hate those ungrateful kids. Like that to me. I don't want to watch a movie where a kid's like, I don't like it here. You're a fucking horrible dad. And like the dad's trying like as hard as can be. Like those kind of movies are more like, that's like one
this is the second week in a row where War of the Worlds has come up.
I don't know why that keeps coming up, but it's just one of those, that's like my like whenever I think of like bad children in movies.
Universal movies, monster movies.
That is like literally like the boom. That is the pinnacle movie of like, hey, you want bad children. There's probably worse children movies out there than that. But that movie right there just reminds me of like, hey, bad kids in movies. That one right there.
Yeah, well, I think that I was gonna say, so they're gonna but as far as going back to how we got onto that in the first place, universe movies,
stars.
Universe movies. Like I think that now they're trying to hope The Mummy is the next one to kind of like start off this Universal monster movie franchise. So it's like. I don't know. I mean, Spider-Man 2 was Amazing Spider-Man 2 was trying to do that, but they tried to speed track it too quickly, and that's why now it's back to Disney. So,
which is kind of a bummer because Amazing Spider-Man 3, I bet you would have been so fucking awesome. They would have had that so dialed in, but just because
I thought Sony is still making their own Spider-Man.
So the way that works is
Sony gets paid.
They're throwing down money for it. So here's what's happening. Sony is lending the rights out to Marvel, but Marvel gets to make it. So it's like, okay, Sony's throwing down some money, and Marvel, it's a joint operation between the two.
Okay, so it's just like Marvel just saying, you guys suck.
Well, it's Marvel. It's Marvel coming in saying, look, we got to take. You guys are scrambling to keep it to figure out what you want to do with it. We know we want to do with it. Because they were reaching. Because they were talking about, well, guess what we're gonna do? I mean, Sinister Six movie. I'd like to see that. But they're talking about like we're also gonna do a Black Cat movie. We're gonna do a solo movie about the Green Goblin. It's just like you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You don't have to because they want to do a whole Spider-Verse.
It's kind of a bummer because I actually kind of liked Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker.
He was
he's my favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah. I would have honestly. I mean, Tom Holland. He did a good job. But I in all honesty, I don't blame him for wanting to start scratch. I don't blame him. But if they did want to continue Andrew Garfield, like, yeah, that did happen in the other. Those first two are part of the continuity. The Avengers weren't there for it. I think that would have been fine because I thought Andrew Garfield did a great job.
Yeah, I think he's amazing, and I like the way he went. And as I said, I like Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and I think that 3 would have been the one where it's like, oh, they would have had that so dialed in. That could have been like the best Spider-Man movie ever. And the new one looks good. Don't get me wrong. Like when I see it, looks pretty good, but it does look kind of like 2 steps back from where like it could have been going, because it's kind of looks like just because it looks like it's like Spider-Man, one villain.
No, he has 3 villains in that movie.
Does he have 3 in the new one?
He has Shocker, but played by Bokeem Woodbine, the Tinkerer, and Vulture.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just in the trailer. Just kind of makes that look like it's just like
you
him
see
and the Vulture.
Shocker just for a second. They shown set photos of Bokeem Woodbine as Shocker, and you can tell who it is. It looks a little bit more of like low tech, but still looks cool. And what's interesting about it, because I didn't realize this, I overheard this. I don't know if it's true, but basically. There was a comic book series called Damage Control, which was about people who came in and cleaned up after whenever there's a big superhero battle. Well, this is playing out to be, these guys, Shocker, the Tinkerer, and Vulture, were all members of that. But then Tony Stark kind of came in and says after all events of Civil War, he's like, guess what? You guys aren't like qualified. My people are. So it puts them out of work. So it gives them a chip on their shoulder. So now they're using all their gear they're using to help people and like, you know, move construction shit and actually go against Tony Stark and Peter Parker. And that's like, oh, that's actually an interesting way to go about it.
Okay, well that sounds way better than, because as I said, the trailer looked cool, but like it just felt like it was more just like a simple, almost kind of like how Doctor Strange was, where it's just like, we're just gonna make it simple and easy. You know, it's gonna be fun. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I guess because I look at that trailer and then in my mind I look at the trailer of Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I think that's kind of like how I was looking at it. It's like, God, Amazing Spider-Man 3 would have been so badass. You would have had all 6 villains going after fucking Spider-Man. Would have been this big, huge epic of a movie. And then this one, at first, I was just thinking like, oh, okay, cool. So Spider-Man's fighting Batman, whatever. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I like the idea of Michael Keaton being in the movie. So it's like, you know, but it's like, now that you say that actually sounds way cooler.
Yeah.
They kind of have Michael Keaton in like Spider-Man: Homecoming. It kind of like it's like this weird universe that you're in. Just that like that Birdman exists, and Birdman, it's like going against it's going against like this whole superhero genre. And he's like, I'm in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I don't even think Birdman's going against the superhero genre. I think it's almost more of like, maybe slightly. I guess it's more than anything about like the way I took Birdman was.
Well, it's basically Michael Keaton saying that like, yeah, he was in a superhero movie and he doesn't want to do it anymore, and how it's like
clearly he still wants to do it,
and how that he's like shadowing over like
a character he's playing.
Yeah,
a character he's playing, which I think
Batman.
that helps.
Batman.
Well, at the same time, I don't think it was that. I think it was more one of those things like, because you get something big like Batman. You get something big like that, and you assume from there on in, like, you're fucking huge. You can do whatever you want. And he kind of disappeared for a little while. He was still in stuff, but he disappeared, and then he kind of came back slowly, like bigger role. Now he's big again, which is awesome. And it's kind of one of those things, oh yeah, shit, he was Batman once, wasn't he? And I feel like that Birdman was almost kind of go about more the struggle with that, and kind of like, the way I took Birdman was ultimately like, you can make, you know, to make true art, you almost gonna have to sacrifice yourself for it. Kind of the same thing Black Swan did, ironic, because it's about birds, but you know, because he blew his nose off in front of a crowd and maybe killed himself at the end of the movie. So it's like, that's the way I almost take it about. Like, you know, if you want true art, you got to make a sacrifice.
Went
off the rails there, got a little too deep, but yeah, you get the idea.
No, I got what you mean there, though, because that's kind of exactly how Black Swan is. So you explained to me with Black Swan. It all started to make sense.
Did you ever see Birdman?
Nope, never did.
Oh, good movie. Check it out. It's actually a comedy. It doesn't sound like it, but it's a comedy.
Yeah, I know. I remember when that one came out. I was like, oh, I should check that out.
Now that I think about it, it really is it's literally the guy dark comedy version of Black Swan. Only he might be dead, he might be alive at the end. I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of, you know, ambiguous.
Yeah, well, that kind of style of ending. Yeah, no, I'll have to check that one out.
Well, it's one of those things like you find out he actually, throughout the movie, he has these powers. I remember why I thought that before. He had these powers, and then he actually, you don't know if he's going crazy or not, but he has mind control powers. And then he jumps out a window, and then like you see someone else looking up and seeing, oh shit, he's flying. So it's like, oh shit, you commit yourself enough, you can achieve whatever. But you know, who knows? Not fly out a window, obviously, but you know, like metaphors, man.
I remember because when that movie came out, it looked kind of like, oh, is that a Harvey Birdman movie? It's like, oh no, it's not.
Harvey Birdman.
It's good. It's good. You like it. It's by the same guy who did Revenant.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That'd be fun. Well, yeah, it's probably a good place to wrap all this up at. Yeah. All kinds of fun movie things to talk about and all that good stuff. But till then, make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And I'm Marley Silverbrand.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there.
Won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to Old Man Orange.